Hi everyone, it's time again for another episode of Cooking with Abe, because I'm making dinner again tonight. And tonight's dinner is going to be steak salad. It's kind of an Asian style dish. Uses sweet chili sauce. And yeah, let's get that started. It requires a little preparation, but again, the preparation's not, I don't always prepare it in advance. Sometimes I just start making it. But this time we're going to do a little preparation. So let's start with that. So to start, you need a gallon-sized bag, some teriyaki sauce. We use the Fusa Aldi brand, and a steak. In this case, we've got top sirloin steak, but you can also use strip steak or T-bone or whatever you want. I probably wouldn't use T-bone. I would use something that's easily cut up beforehand. Or rather cut up while it's hot, because after we cook this, it is going to be sliced into thin strips and a half, because you don't want huge chunks of steak in your salad. So, pardon me, still getting over the flu from a couple weeks ago, but that's how the flu is. So you start out, open your steak package, however you're going to open that steak package. And yep, still fresh. That's good. I'm going to take this out and place it in the bag. And then I'm going to wash my hands real quick here. Alright, and then take your teriyaki sauce, and this is about a half bottle. We've got a couple more bottles of this sitting in our cabinet. I'm going to take this and put maybe a quarter of the bottle in there to let it marinate. That's more like half the bottle. Put the whole half bottle in. I love this sauce. It's so good. It's more of a marinated sauce than actual like Kinkaman teriyaki or like raw soy sauce. It's kind of like a glaze, more like a barbecue sauce than anything else. It's really good though. And then we mix it around a little bit and put that in the fridge. Now this step is kind of optional. Obviously, the longer you let your steak marinate in the sauce, the more flavor it's going to have, the more the sauce is going to absorb into the meat a little for flavor purposes. But if you wanted to, if you're in a hurry, you could just put it in there, get the sauce all over the edge, and then immediately put it on the boiler pan and advance to the next step. We've got a little bit of time right now because it's early afternoon, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the fridge to marinate, and we'll probably be in there about an hour before I go ahead and start cooking that. So we'll be back in about an hour. Okay, actually lied. I didn't take a whole hour for that. The steak's still marinating, and while it is, I'm actually going to start preparing some of the rest of the salad, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the next hour as far as where the baby's going to be and whatnot, because he's currently in his room semi-napping, although I hear that he is up. But he's contained right now, so we'll go ahead and prepare this now. So the next two ingredients you're going to need are carrots and cucumber. And so this is actually a seedless cucumber, which is why it's all wrapped in plastic. And I'm actually going to rinse it here. You can just use regular cucumber if you want, although the recipe I originally found does call for seedless cucumber. So we're using a seedless cucumber this time. And it makes a little bit of a difference. You'll see why in a moment. Alright, so now I actually have kind of a special tool here. This is, I don't even know what you'd call this. It's like a vegetable razor. I also do have a peeler, and we're going to use that for the carrot. But for the cucumber, if you can find one, I recommend getting one of these because it makes these beautiful slices of cucumber. So we're going to start by skinning this thing. And this is just a lot, for me, it's a lot easier to use than a standard peeler. It also makes, I don't know if you can see that, it got a nice crinkle cut of the shape, which it just has a nicer texture when you're eating it. So we are going to peel this cucumber. And once we get all the way around, throw that out. And then we'll go ahead and start creating cucumber strips. So these might even be a little bit long. You want them to be between, I'd say between 3 and 6 inches long. I could just make them across the whole. I think what I'm going to do is make them across the whole length of the cucumber, and then just chop them up a little bit. But you can see the way this thing makes them. You have this nice crinkle cut texture, and they're very thin. And it's just, if you can find one of these things, I don't know. I got it from my grandparents. They bought it on Home Shopping Network at one point, I think. But now they've given it to me, and I love it. But I don't know exactly where it came from. So we're gonna slice this up, and I will finish slicing this up and kind of show you what the result was. So it's interesting to note that even though this is a seedless cucumber, it's still got like pods for the seeds on the inside. So once you shave it down quite a bit, you do get to a part that's a little harder to shave up. So I guess it doesn't really matter what kind of cucumber you get, because at some point it becomes impossible to peel or shave more. So I'm pretty much at that point now. And then you have a choice of either eating the core, core's not usually all that great though, or just toss it. We got the part we wanted. So, alright, we've got our cucumber sections here. I'm going to chop them up a bit. And I'm actually going to go for, I think, 3-inch lengths this time. I've done longer ones in the past, and there's going to be some shorter ones here too. And they're just a little gangly when you have them on your, or have them in your bowl. So we're going to take those and put them into our mixing bowl here. And this is just a intermediate container for our salad bits. Alright, so the cucumber goes in there. And when it's done, I'm going to put the knife aside. Don't need the scissors. When you're done with this, you're going to take your carrots, and I don't know, again, you kind of have to figure out how much you need for your family. We generally use like a whole cucumber for our family, and that's just with like me and Allie, although we do have a little left over. So you then go to your carrots, and these are really big carrots, and I'm probably going to use 3 of them. You actually have the option of either using whole carrots and shredding them, which is what I prefer to do, or just buy shredded carrot sticks already, which is not what I prefer to do. So we'll go ahead and start peeling these. And so I've got my peeler here. And I'm just going to scrape off the outer skin, even though it's apparently washed. The outer skin's still a bit rough and not really juicy and not as good for eating. So you just, toss that part. And then once you've done that, I'm just going to do one of these. You just basically keep peeling. And so I'm actually going to peel this straight into the bowl. And again, we're going to have like 3-inch sections here. And I'm actually going to cut the tip off of this because it looks kind of gnarly. Don't want that in the salad. And yeah, we're gonna shave the end off of this until we get to the point where it's too thin to hold itself firm anymore. And then cut that off and start again. And you get there pretty quick if you make quick actions. You don't want to be too quick, otherwise you'll have carrot slices flying all over the place. Especially because the carrot is kind of springy. They'll fling around. But and there went the carrot piece. So carrots are good. So with that, you can see we've got some shredded carrots now with some thin carrots, along with the cucumber slices. So I'm going to finish that up and show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so I'd originally planned on peeling all 3 carrots, but these carrots are so large, pardon me, these carrots are so large that just one of them pretty much outnumbers the cucumber. So we're just going to peel one. So there you go. Alright, now we get to the real fun part of this, where we're going to go ahead and boil the noodles. So in this case, normally I would use a very fine rice noodle or fun. In this case we're using Fun, which is a bean, I call them bean threads. They're basically bean noodles, but they're pretty good. So we're just going to go ahead and turn the burner on there, wait for it to boil, and then go ahead and throw in the Fun. Okay, so the pot is boiling now, so we'll go ahead and put these in. And while those are starting to cook, that's just a tangle of bean noodles there. And while those are cooking, I'll go ahead and turn on the broiler and get some aluminum foil for the broiler pan. We're going to put the steak on there and start to cook the steak. Okay, so that's boiling nicely. We got the steak out, the broiler's on. We're going to put the steak on the broiler pan. Throw out the bag. And then pop the steak onto the broiler. And now I will admit, I am not the best steak cooker in the world, but we're going to start that off for 8 minutes in the broiler pan. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so that's been in there for like 8 minutes. And turn this one off. And we're going to go ahead and flip that over. That smells pretty good. And I'm only going to put it in there for 6 minutes this time, but only because I don't want it to overcook. Again, so what we're trying to do with the steak here is get it to cook to a point where it's not chewy, not rubbery, but it melts in the mouth while you're in there. So it's going to be a little more on the rare side, medium rare. But again, cook your steak as you want it. Once it comes out, we're going to slice it up as thin as possible, small little bites, and then douse it in more teriyaki sauce and add it to the bean noodles and all the veggies. And actually we can go ahead and make the sauce now that goes with that, the salad dressing. So let's do that next. Alright, so what we have here is some Thai style sweet chili sauce. This is just the Great Value brand. So it's kind of that, sweet but spicy. This one's got a little more kick than I'm generally used to, but it was the only one I could find this time. So we're going to go ahead and put in like 2 tablespoons of that. Get that all cleaned up. And then go ahead and add maybe a cup of water to that. So that's kind of what it looks like with the water in the chili sauce, or the water on the chili sauce. So then the next thing we do is mix that up rather vigorously, because we wanted the chili sauce to dissolve. And basically make like a really light, salad dressing like sauce that we can put on. That's not too spicy, it's not too sweet, it's just kind of mild and it's there. And yeah, and just gives it that kind of, sweet chili sauce kind of flavor. And we'll douse that over all the vegetables when we're done. So now that we've shaken it, and it will separate a little bit more as time goes on, so we got to stir it again. But that's kind of what it looks like when we're done stirring it. It should be pretty, getting steam on the camera. It should be a pretty consistent, color throughout. You won't have light spots and dark spots and whatnot. So, yeah. All right. So the steak is done, or at least the timer's gone off. It smells about done. It looks about done. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off and pull this out. And there we go. That's what that's all about. Hot. Alrighty. And that being the time, the noodles are about done too. So I'm going to go ahead and, man, those things just like to wrap around there, don't they? I'm going to go ahead and grab a colander. Put it in the sink. And move you guys on over to here. Pardon the dirty dishes. Stove off. And I kind of wish we had more rice noodles. This really isn't a whole lot, and I usually like a lot of rice noodles, but hey, that's what we got right now, and I think it'll be sufficient. And so we get that in there. I'm actually going to put cold water in there to cool these off. So in doing this, we prevent the noodles from getting too sticky while allowing them to cool down, because otherwise they would cool down and dry out all at the same time, and we wouldn't want that, would we? But this salad's meant to be eaten cold, and already you can kind of see this. It almost has like a jellyfish-like consistency with these noodles here. They're pretty good, and the nice thing about bean noodles compared to rice noodles is that bean noodles tend not to break apart quite so much, whereas rice noodles would be, kind of falling apart at this point. The bean noodles are strong and maintain their shape, and yeah. So we'll go ahead and cut those up in a little bit. But first we got to cut up the steak and get the rest of the salad all ready. Alright, so we got our steak off the boiler pan. It's cooled down just a little bit. And this was a pretty lean cut. I probably could have trimmed it beforehand, but I did not. What we're going to do now is cut off the fatty bits, chewy bits. And this actually looks like it's cooked about perfect. Slicing into it like that. Well, I guess we'll know a little more once we, chop it in half. So let's go ahead and cut into it. And yeah, that's kind of rare, but it's seared on the outside, and that's pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and slice this relatively thinly. So maybe a little less than 1/4 of an inch, or like 3 millimeters or something like that per slice. And this looks like it's gonna come apart pretty good. It's nice and juicy still, and it's got a good amount of flavor. We're still gonna douse it in teriyaki sauce. So yeah, I'm just gonna slice a couple more pieces of this off here and get rid of the fatty bit. And Lincoln's having fun in the background there. You can probably hear them. Go ahead and call that a slice. And then, you know, so like this is like the length of my pointer finger from the knuckle to the tip. So we'll probably cut that into like 1-inch strips. It's just a lot easier to eat that way. I mean, we've had this meal several times. It's really good, but if your steak pieces are too big, it's just not enjoyable because you're constantly like chewing on steak, and it's, you know, hard to eat. So go ahead and cut those up, and then as we're cutting them up, I will go ahead and get out the bowl from the refrigerator with the cucumbers and the carrots in it. I'm only doing this because we're going to eat pretty soon, so I'm going to go ahead and start throwing those in there. And we'll let them cool down a little bit too. Like I said, you know, this salad is meant to be eaten kind of chilled. So, you know, letting it cool down is a good idea. But yeah, so I'm going to keep chopping this up, and we'll kind of show you what the final result is once we get everything together. Alright. One other thing I realized I had to do was grab those noodles. I'm not quite done with the steak yet, but grab the noodles and go ahead and chop them up a bit, because they are a long tangled mess, and you really don't want to eat them that way. They're almost impossible to serve that way. But yeah, we're just going to chop these into some quadrants here, and these will be really good. Yeah. Voila. Okay, I previously messed that up a little bit. Before you put the steak pieces in with the salad, it's really highly recommended that you add more teriyaki sauce to them. So that's what I'm going to do right now, because there's some flavor on there, but now there's more flavor on there, and it mixes with the sauce real good too. So I chopped up the noodles, tossed them in the bowl. We've now got these steak pieces that we're just going to mix with the teriyaki sauce here. And then, yeah, I'll put those in the bowl, mix everything up, add the sauce, or add the salad dressing, and serve it up. And we'll show you what that looks like in just 1 minute. But first, let's get these in there. And there's a little bit of over coverage here. You can't see the cucumbers anymore, but that's basically what it looks like here. Let's dig out the cucumbers a little bit. So, yep. Steak, carrots, noodles, cucumber. And then we'll put the sauce in on the top. So yeah, it's pretty tasty. Alright, so we've mixed up the salad because we're about to eat it. And now I'm just going to pour some of it into a bowl. And pour some of it into the other bowl. And there's a little bit of leftovers, but not a whole lot. Yeah, it's Lincoln in the background. And we're going to put some of the salad dressing in there. So it's got some flavor and whatnot on it. And there you go.